hear me? If you can't hear me, please write it on the chat session next to me. So before I begin my presentation, I just wanted to check with all of you that how many of you are planning to go and study abroad. I'm sure most of you are planning to study abroad, and I'll tell you why is TOEFL required, what is TOEFL all about, and what does it all contain. So TOEFL stands for Test of English as a Foreign Language. It is the most widely accepted test in all the countries, and this is a very, very easy exam to give. Also, as I mentioned, that it is the most widely accepted test for admission into universities. And what does the TOEFL test measure? It measures your listening, reading, speaking, and writing skills, which are all of the above. Also, TOEFL has become a mandate these days for your visa requirements. So I'm sure all of you are aware of that. This is the test which is accepted in more than 9,000 plus institutions across the world, whether you're planning to study in the United States or the UK or the Germany or the France, all over the world. And this is one of the questions from the exam. It's asking you that which of the sentences below best expresses the essential information in the following sentence. It's asking you to analyze this answer and select one of the responses for this question. So for this question, the answer was given as A, where it says until recently nobody realized that Earth is exposed to unpredictable violent impacts from space. If you have been doing decently well in your 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th English, you can easily score very, very well on this exam. It's a very, very easy exam. Also, as I mentioned, the TOEFL IBT test, TOEFL IBT again stands for Internet-Based Test Exam. So your exam is done online. I'm sure all of you are very, very tech savvy and you can score very well on this exam. It contains these 4 sections, which are your reading, listening, speaking, and writing. In your reading section, you have about 3 to 4 passages from academic tests, 12 to 14 questions per passage, and the testing time is 60 to 80 minutes with a scoring scale of 0 to 30, which is applicable all across the section. For listening, the description is given as 4 to 6 lectures, some with classroom discussions, some 6 questions each, about 2 to 3 conversations, 5 questions each again, 60 to 90 minutes, again from a scoring scale of 0 to 30. Now they make you listen to these passages. You will have a microphone in the exam. Based upon those questions, you will have to give your responses. They will also give you a 10-minute break. You cannot take any other break other than the one which has been allotted to you by ETS. For the speaking section, again, you will record your responses in the mic given at the test date, where it will ask you to express an opinion or express and analyze the situation given in that specific passage. So again, the testing time is 20 minutes. The scoring scale is between 0 to 30. For your writing, they have given you one integrated task and one independent task, where they are going to ask you to write based upon the question, your response, and again for your one independent test as well. Now, I make sure that you're able to complete these 2 writing tasks in the given time, because, beyond this, they will not give you any extra time. The total score for the exam is 120. Now, there is no negative marking in this paper. Let's say if I scored an 87 and your friend scored about 110 out of 120, that means both the scores are applicable to apply to universities abroad. It is just that based on your score, the criteria and the university will change. Also, this test is administered in more than 50 times a year. And you can almost give this exam almost every weekend, but we always suggest to the students that if you have already a date in mind, then please plan 2 months ahead. Give yourself 2 months of preparation, because that is the way you can go about this exam. Do not try to take a date at the last minute, because it's a very costly exam. It's about $165, which is ₹12,000 rupees. So please take a date much ahead in advance. Let's say I'm planning to give the exam in August. You must take the date by now, otherwise the seats get filled up very quickly. Also, as I mentioned, on the test date of the exam, this is how the test date sample looks like. This is a boy sitting at the exam date where he has a microphone. This is how you will give the exam. You will arrive at the test center, you will check in, you will take the test, and either up to you if you want to report those scores or you want to cancel the score. If you cancel your score, none of the universities will be able to see your score. But if you wish to report your scores, please avail this option. It's a free option given to you. There is no cost for the same, where you can apply up to 4 colleges free of cost. So your score can go up to 4 universities if you've already decided or you are in the process to send the scores. So you can always save some money. And if you do not plan to send the scores at that point, then when you send it later on, it will be charged about $18 per university. So please use this option. Please avail it. It's a very good option. It's a very good tool given by the TOEFL. On the test date, once you finish your exam, your scores get uploaded online within 10 to 15 days. You get the hard copy between 4 to 6 weeks. This is how your TOEFL sample looks like. This is how the score report looks like once you get it. And there is, again, as I mentioned, no passing or failing score given. And universities have their own set of requirements. As I mentioned, if I had received an 87 out of 120 and my friend received 110 out of 120, it will completely depend on what sort of university is going to accept it. Maybe 4 universities will accept that score, or maybe only even 2. So please make sure that you prepare and plan well in advance for this exam. It's a very, very good, easy exam, very, very scoring exam. Students end up scoring a very good marks out of 120 in this. Again, this is one of the questions from the paper. It's asking you what is one meaning of this word. It says delicate. So, the answer would be for this one would be fragile. This is how one of the vocabulary questions comes in the exam. Now, there are a lot of TOEFL resources given, and you can use our center. You can also contact us at the end of the day. And also on our website, a lot of information is given. You can download there, you can practice there depending on your convenience and your time. You can search, you can plan, you can, find out the universities as per your listing. There is a journey program which is given to you. It provides you the relevant and the helpful information. Also, you can get notifications through SMS or email if you register with us at our website, which is given, which is TOEFLGoAnywhere.org. This is a very, very good tool. It's known as the TOEFL Destination Search. You can enter the score which you have received on the exam and find out exactly which score or which university you can apply to. As I mentioned, if I'm getting an 87, it will show down a list where all those universities are getting accepted. Or if I have gotten 110, then it will show up those number of universities. This is the tool which is a very, very helpful tool which allows universities to find you based on the criteria you have entered. You can register for this. You can already start looking up before you take the exam. This is another word from the vocabulary section. It's asking you what is one meaning of this word. So, the answer for this would be encroach for trespass. Now, on Facebook, I'm sure all of you are have IDs on Facebook and are very, very tech savvy and all the time on Facebook. You can go and like our page on Facebook. There are a lot of tests and skill building tips given by students, a lot of videos shared by them. You can also download free prep materials and you can seek guidance what all other students have done to score very well on this exam. We also have a lot of videos where you can download from on the YouTube, especially for the speaking section. You can download those videos at home, practice and see how they have spoken. And this is again some videos given to you where you can download for the speaking and writing section. A lot of resources given by us and a video library is also available for the same. Again, there are a lot of videos what students have talked about, what experience they have gotten out of the exam, how well they have done and everything. For TOEFL test preparation, for the speaking section, your preparation time will be around 15 seconds and your response time should be not more than 45 seconds. For preparation of the exam, there are a lot of pre-sample questions given. And out of this, there is a TOEFL test planner which helps you and guides you how to go about it. Please avail this option which is given on the website. And this official guide to the TOEFL test book, which is given down below, the blue book, it's a very, very useful tool. And you must utilize this because it contains 5 real practice tests plus audio CD. So you can purchase this book online, take this at your cost and, practice it. It's a very, very easy exam. You don't need any special consultants or any people to help you. Of course, if you need more further guidance, Career Launcher will always be there to help you on the same. And this is another book, which is a very, very good book, and it's come out in 2013, which is known as the official TOEFL IBT test with the audio. You can see there is a audio CD given, which helps you to prepare and plan. You can just plug it in and practice for this. Again, I would recommend out of all the books, the official guide, because this is the most authentic guide to help you to prepare for this exam. And, you know, so you can practice a lot of things online. There's a TOEFL test practice online. So before you register for this exam, I would personally advise that kindly go and download free sample questions, see the format of the exam, and then register. Because it's $165 you're going to spend. So please plan and prepare for this exam. There is no point of spending so much money and then you realize, oh, I'm not prepared for this exam. Again, there are a lot of these tools given where you can, you know, practice. The costs are also mentioned there. And this is a very easy exam. Please register for this. Plan and prepare. You can do very, very well for this exam. Now I'm going to go over to GRE. And Deepak and I have just gone over, you are asking me what are the important books for TOEFL. I just mentioned the official guide. You can see that for that. And all the other questions I will be taking at the end of the session, Deepak. GRE stands for Graduate Record Examination. Any of you planning to go and do your master's, especially your post-graduation, this exam is required, or your PhD. GRE stands for Graduate Record Examination. I'm going to be taking you through this session today, which asks you what to expect, what kind of scores you can get, sending your scores, the tools you need to help and prepare for this. As I mentioned, the GRE is being accepted around the world for master's programs, MBA programs, specialized masters in business programs, your doctoral programs, even fellowships are accepting these kind of scores. These scores are valid for 5 years, unlike the TOEFL, which is only valid for 2 years. This is a very easy exam and very test taker friendly. Again, it's an internet test based exam. You can, you know, send your best scores forward, and I'll mention and I'll show you how it goes about. Now, for GRE as well, as I mentioned for TOEFL, you need to register early. When I mention early, that means very, very early. Please do not do it at the last minute. The dates get filled up very quickly. For GRE, please give yourself around 3 months of preparation. You can choose the preferred testing location, date and time. You can plan and prepare for this exam. To register for this exam, again, as you do it for TOEFL, again for this one also you will have to create a MyGRE account. You can do it on ets.org/MyGRE. You will also use this account to view your official scores online when they are available. And you can also sign up for the GRE search service, which allows you to find some schools and universities depending on your requirement. And Sakshi, you are asking, is TOEFL mandatory for taking GRE? No. So a lot of universities will mention at their specific criteria requirements. So TOEFL, yes, it has become a mandate. GRE only if you're planning to go for your postgraduate. If you're planning to do your undergrad, it will be SAT and TOEFL. If you're planning to do your postgrad, then they will ask you either an IELTS, TOEFL, GRE or a GMAT. I hope that answers your question. The next thing which I'm going to be talking about is that, you know, once you've registered for the GRE account, then the important registration tips is that each country has its own official ID requirements for the testing. As I mentioned, only for TOEFL and GRE, as Indian students, only ID which will be allowed on the exam date is your passport. You have to make sure whatever name has been entered in your passport is exactly replicated in your GRE account. Please do not use Aadhaar card, voting card or driving licenses as your identity card or the test date. For TOEFL and GRE, only passport will be considered as your identification. This is how your first name and your last name looks like when you have mentioned as depending on the passport. Now review all the information given for the GRE. Please go over all the requirements on the policy. Once you have created the GRE account depending on your passport, please register for the exam early. This is how your GRE account looks like when you have registered. You will have to mention your first name, last name, date of birth, email ID, your address, your country, everything whichever is given in your passport. When you register for the TOEFL, for the GRE exam, you can register by going on the link, by going on the website. Again, on the test date, as I mentioned for TOEFL, please go on to the test center early. If they have mentioned 9:30 as your exam date, you will have to go half an hour before. You cannot arrive late at the exam. They will not let you enter. Your official ID document will be only your passport and nothing else at the test date. And you will have to follow all the procedures which they will ask you on the test date. Also, this is again a computer-based test like your TOEFL test. Here it contains 1 analytical writing section, 2 tasks in total, and 30 minutes per task. For your verbal, it has 2 sections, 20 questions per section and 30 minutes per section. For your quant, it has 2 sections, 20 questions per section and 35 minutes per section. Like Shubhangi just asked me a question that she's planning to give the GRE in August first week. When should I take the date? If you are planning to do, Shubhangi, please register for this exam right now because the seats will get filled up very quickly. The total testing time for this exam is 3 hours and 45 minutes. It's a shorter exam than the TOEFL because the TOEFL exam is about 4 hours and 30 minutes. But this one is more intensive. This test will include 1 analytical writing section which will always come first, followed by your 2 verbal reasoning sections and 2 quantitative reasoning sections. You will also get an unscored section or a research section that does not count towards your score. Now, these 2 sections can pop up any time between the sections. It does not mean that you will get marks on it, but do attempt it, because if you are planning to do your PhD or your fellowship or even your master's, these sections get counted towards your application. But there is no scoring on them and there is no negative marking. So might as well, finish the sections instead of skipping them. There is a 10-minute break after the third section and there is a 1-minute break between the other sections. If you want to take the unscheduled break, the clock will not stop. So the best strategy in this exam is to proceed with your test without interruption once it begins. It's preferred that you take the break which the exam allots you. Kindly do not take any breaks without the consent of the exam. And for the analytical writing section, as I mentioned, there are 2 writing tasks which is there, analyze an issue and analyze an argument. For these 2 sections, you will have to type your response on the computer. Make sure you have penned down your thoughts on a piece of paper which is provided in the exam on the side, and then type out this question. Do not in a hurry just type it out anything. You can always plan and prepare your thoughts accordingly for this section. And I'm sure you guys are all very computer tech savvy. You can type this, response in a well-given time which they have allotted you. This is one of the questions which is asking you to analyze an issue task. It says, as people rely more and more on technology to solve problems, the ability of humans to think for themselves will surely deteriorate. It's saying, discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with the statement above and explain your reasoning for the position you take. In this question, either you will agree or disagree with the statement. You cannot give a neutral answer. You will have to support it either with an agree or a disagree, giving your reasonings and whatever you want to explain in that question. In the analyzing an argument task, they've given you a paragraph and they've asked you to write a response in which you examine the stated or unstated assumptions of the argument. Now, be sure to explain how the argument depends on these assumptions and what implications are there if the assumptions prove unwarranted. So read the question very carefully, see what it is asking you, and then please type down the response for the same. For the verbal reasoning section, you will get questions which will include on reading comprehension, where it will give you multiple choice. Select one or more answer choice. Again, select multiple one or more answer choices. There will be a select in passage, a text completion question, and a sentence equivalence question. This is one of the questions which looks like on the paper. It's asking you to select one answer for this paragraph. So the student which had responded for this question was the last one. This is another paragraph they've given you. In this one, they're asking you select one or more answer choices for the same. So the student responded for this one was the first and the last one. Now, in this question, they have given you a paragraph. You have to select the sentence that distinguish two ways of integrating rock and classical music. So the student had selected the last sentence for this question. Now, this is a very, very easy question in the verbal section. They've given you a paragraph. They've given you 3 blanks. As you can see, for first blank, they've given you 3 options. For the second blank, they've given you 3 options. And for the third blank, they've given again 3 options. So out of these blanks, you can select one right answer and respond for the same. This is another question which is asking you to fill in the blank. To select one and then respond for the same. So for this question, they had asked you one and more. So the child has selected one or more. For the quant section, there will be questions based on quantitative comparison. Multiple choice, select one or more answer choice. Again, multiple choice, select one or more answer choices, numeric entry. And all the questions are based on your mathematical skills, which you must have studied in your 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th on arithmetic, algebra, geometry, data analysis. There will be always an on-screen calculator given to you. Only in the quant section, the on-screen calculator will be available. This will only pop up once you reach the quant section. It will not come in the verbal section. You're not allowed to carry any calculator from home. You will be given a scratch paper and you will be given an on-screen calculator where you can, calculate all your answers. This is one of the questions from the paper. It's asking you to calculate what was the approximate cost in dollars of the gasoline, in the driving the car 350 miles. So the answer for this question was $30. And this is another fraction question where it's asking you to indicate all the gross income. So the student responded one or, more than one choices. And there was a calculator again, on screen. So what he did is he had calculated using the calculator and then he responded to the question. Deepak, I will be taking you at the end of the session all your questions, so please wait for the same. This is the quantitative comparison question where it's asking you to analyze. So this question has a response. The